Well, good damn afternoon, Americans. Jericho Green here with you once again. So, Pete Hegseth came out, spoke some truth. So, of course, the left has a problem with it. Of course, because truth is like the garlic bath and Lost Boys to them. Remember the vampire got in there and he started bubbling and he fucking exploded. That's what truth does to the left. They can't stand it. It irritates their skin. What did Pete Hegseth say? The new, his position used to be called the Secretary of Defense, but it's been changed to the Secretary of War. So, what a cool name, by the way. What a cool title. So I can't remember who he was speaking in front of. Judging by what he was saying, it was military personnel, but I'll put a link in the description box to that video. But he's basically saying that we need to return to a standard of physical readiness across the board for all members of the military, meaning, in part, that we're not going to have push-ups for the girls, and if they can't do it, they can put their knees on the ground, and boys got to do regular push-ups though, and the girls, they can do hang time instead of pull-ups. No. Everybody needs to be physically ready. And I know what you're saying. I know what the haters are saying. But Jericho, you're fat. You can't talk about fat people. But you see the thumbnail. I wasn't always like that. Your boy used to be svelte. And before you talk about my physical condition, glance down at your midsection. And I can talk about this because I was in the military, and when I met the physical criteria. Let me tell you a story real quick. I'm trying to tell you a story. So when I joined the military, I didn't meet the weight requirements. I wasn't fat. I was 18 years old, but I didn't meet the military requirements. So I got together with my recruiter. I meet him at the gym. I work out. I put on the trash bag suit to sweat. I did everything I had to do to make the requirement. I didn't complain about the requirements. I didn't go to some organization to make them lower the standards for me to get in. I met them. And if I didn't meet them, guess what? You can't join the military. Wah, wah, wah. Take your ass home until you meet the requirements. But here we are in this new society. No, don't meet the requirements. Let's make the requirements meet you. So anyway, I was, maybe 10 pounds overweight or something like that. So I did what I had to do. I watched what I ate. I did the exercise. I dropped the weight. I made it into the military. Well, when I got to boot camp, they said, you weigh how much? No. You need to weigh, I think it was 5 pounds less than that. So that was the first lie my recruiter told me. So I had to lose like 8 pounds, something like that. So they had a huge dry erase board in the front of the barracks. Big old, it looked like the size of a 65-inch TV. It was huge. And in big block letters at the top of the whiteboard, it said, Chub Club. That means you weighed too much and we're going to do something about it. So they wrote a list of recruits on there, and if you were in the Chub Club after evening chow, when everybody was shining their boots and writing letters to their sweetheart or studying in the barracks, you were down in the courtyard. There was a Navy SEAL group that was attached to the NTC across the street, and they would come over in their spare time, and out of the kindness of their heart, they would take care of that extra weight you had hanging around. It was called EMI, Extra Military Instruction. And they would fuck you up until you lost the weight and were no longer a member of the Chub Club. And I remember the day they got the eraser and erased my name from the Chub Club guest list. So yeah, I've been there. I met the standards. I did what I had to do to meet the requirements to have the privilege to join the United States military. So what Pete Hegseth had to say was, we have fat generals and officers in charge of these people, and that's not right. There is a physical standard that must be met in the world's finest military. If you don't meet the standard, you can't join. We're used to standards. We're used to requirements. Remember when you were a little kid and you went to the theme park? For me, it was the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk. And you think you're just going to walk your little short ass over there and hop on the roller coaster? You have to stand next to whatever character is famous for that park. I think it was it Popeye or some shit? But whatever character was standing there, and what did the sentence say? Read it. You know it. I don't care where you grew up. The sentence was the same. You must be this tall to ride the ride. And sometimes you walked up to the line and you weren't tall enough. So whether, I don't know, you might have cried or whatever, you took your little too short ass off to the side and you watched your friends or your siblings or whoever you came with yell and scream and laughter on the roller coaster that you couldn't ride because you weren't tall enough. I'll get them next summer. You can't drive until you're 16. You can't smoke or play the lottery till you're 18. You can't come in here. You're not 21. Don't act like this shit is new. But the left is acting like, what requirements? Standards? They're all throughout our life, and they know it. And who is the worst collection of progressive, liberal human scum that should be at the bottom of a birdcage being shit on? I'll give you a hint. It's a group of old harpies, and they put them on TV every day. That's right. Hopefully you don't have food in your stomach when I say this. The View. And Joy Behar, the most unfunny ginger bitch this planet has ever seen, is sitting up there saying, why are they fat shaming? Why is Pete Hegseth so focused on fat? Because it's the United States military, you dumb bitch. You can't have fat, out of shape, mayonnaise bodies in the military. I can't stand that shit. Or you see a fat cop. Every cop and every soldier should look like an action figure. Or they should at least be in shape. You know what I mean? They should all have the dick roo. You know, the grooves at the hip? Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. Everybody in law enforcement in the military should have dick roo. Or what they call cum gutters. But the military is not that. When you lower the standards and you soften the requirements, you're going to get soft soldiers, airmen, Marines, and sailors. That's the way it works. You have to make the standards and hold people to them. If you can't cut it, you can't cut it. When do people get afraid of losing or not getting what they want? That's how it is. Why is he so obsessed with fat? Because there's a physical standard that must be met. Period. And he said, yes, you will be able to, in boot camp, you can yell at the recruits. You can put your hands on them. You can strike fear in them. I remember when I was thinking about joining the military, that's the experience that I wanted. I wanted that Full Metal Jacket experience. I wanted to be molded and shaped into a United States sailor in the world's finest Navy. I wanted to be yelled at. I wanted to be screamed at and insulted. And they did that. They called us names. They made fun of us. They degraded us. They humiliated us. But that's what it's part of. Pressure makes diamonds. And when I stepped out of boot camp, lean and mean, I was happy for it. I was happy for the thousands upon thousands of variations of push-ups, crunches, sit-ups, 8-count bodybuilders, pull-ups, thousands of miles that we ran and marched. You were thankful for it after because you made it through the fire. But you can't be some out-of-shape, dumpy, doughy weirdo and fight for this country. Do you know that people in the military in boot camp get up at 6 o'clock in the morning? And for those of you who've never been in the military, you might be thinking, well, that's pretty early, Jericho. But for those of you who did go through boot camp, you know that's sleeping in. That's like a civilian sleeping in till noon. Half the day is gone. But the military is something different now. It's softer. It's weaker. Now people are joining so they can get their dicks and tits cut off for free. They're twerking in uniform or dancing around like somebody who gets corn and peanuts on the end of their dick after lovemaking. And that's nothing new. Ku Klux Trans members and Alphabet Soup Group members have been joining our military since we had a military. But guess what the difference is? They kept that shit to themselves and they kept it at home. There are freaks and deviants everywhere in every profession, in every facet of life, but you must keep that shit to yourself. You must keep it off the clock and keep it in your personal life. This is amazing. This is wonderful. I'm glad Pete Hegseth is returning to the old standard that you must be in shape to be in the military. Raggy? What? And especially if you're in leadership, if you're an officer, you should set the standard and the example for your subordinates. You can't have somebody under your command who has a six-pack and you got a keg. That's not right. But of course the left, oh my God, you can't say that, you're being mean. So what if they're fat? Be fat. You just can't be in the military. That's all. But what say you? Talk to me, Goose. Meet me in the comments. Were you in the military? Tell me about your experience, the standards that you had to meet, and how much they didn't give a shit about you if you didn't. No one's handing you some Kleenex to dab your tears if you can't make it in the military. Get your fat ass out of here, slim down, and come back. But you know how it goes. I try to be done with the left, but they just won't let me. I'm out.